Do you know, I never bother with reference images. It's all up here, mate. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about references, where to find them, is it copying, how to use them, and I'm going to generally talk about how to find inspiration, because I get asked that question quite often. Also, at the end of the video, I'll be going through a bit of news, and I'm going to ask you to do something, a little challenge, that will hopefully develop our community, and you can post in the comment below. Before I get into the video, I want to thank 3D Total for sending me this. I'm extremely happy about this. So this is an anatomy figure, and it's got half where the sort of skin's taken off so you can see the muscles. I think that's called an écorché. And then it's got half that is just normal, if you can call this sort of thing normal. It's really detailed, really accurate, and I sent an email to them saying, did you want to put one of these in the back of my video? So there we are. I've always wanted one of these because I think it's really helpful for a reference, and also they gave me a link in the description for 20% off, I think till the 19th of December, but I'll put that next to the link anyway. So all my wonderful viewers out there, you can get 20% off. Thank you very much 3D Total, and that will take pride of place over there. I don't know whether I want to replace Woody just yet. I've thought about maybe sending an email to other people with sort of posing models and see what I can get hold of. It's quite exciting. Love the free stuff. So first of all, is it copying to use references? Well, I don't think it is, but there's a fine line, especially when people start tracing other people's work. I think really you're getting a bit too close for comfort there. I think maybe if you wanted to practice your shading or something like that, you could quickly trace around someone else's work and then practice shading in perhaps. I suppose also if you wanted just the poses, you could trace around poses or photos just to get an idea, and then it's a bit like photo bashing in a sense, but you're sort of tracing around the images. And that's where the fine line is. Is that sort of copying, or is that a good workflow? And are you able to get more work done following that kind of process? I would argue that you always ask yourself, how am I developing? Is this developing my skills in any way? And it may be that it is helping you to improve in certain areas that you really want to focus on, and that's fair enough. I think it's always important to be clear with the community when you're posting your work about how you did it and whether you followed any of those techniques. Otherwise, if people find out that's how you did it, then they might criticize you and call you a charlatan or something like that. I knew an artist that would meticulously copy a photo. So they'd take a photograph and they would really meticulously draw out little grids and the grids on the photograph and just copy and copy and copy, and they were basically a glorified photocopier really. And the weird thing was, although it was really precise, it just didn't look quite right. And actually photos aren't really that great sometimes. They can kind of capture you at odd moments, so you've got odd weird expressions, and an artist will actually refine that and change it and make it look like you. But if you're going straight from that photograph and getting those minute details, actually you're getting all the flaws in and it just doesn't quite work. So I would be very careful of going down that route. However, generally getting images that will inspire you or focus you in a certain area, that's fine in my opinion. So recently I did the superhero kid, and I was looking at hats, jumpers, curtains, anything that would give me an idea of how the fabric works, certain colours, the details, and all those sorts of things. And sometimes to be a good artist, you need to be good at observation, being able to see these different things. So where's a good place to find reference images? Well, it depends what you're looking at, but things like anatomy are actually quite hard to find. They generally cost quite a lot of money to buy a pack or whatever it might be, or you can go out and buy one of these things, which is fair enough really. Someone's taken the time to put together all these photos and they want some money for it. And there's lots of sites out there if you are willing to pay for it. There are some sites that offer it for free, but they can be a bit tough to find because if you put free anatomy images, they generally come up with the sites that you have to pay for. So they've obviously tried to override that free term and just add it into their searches. The trouble is you're always really going to want high quality images so you can kind of zoom in and get that detail for the reference. And lots of time the free ones are really small resolution. I tend to go on Pinterest quite a lot, but it's not really a tool created for artists, although a lot of artists use it. It's really great at collating lots of images together and then putting them onto a board. But what it's not good at is identifying the quality of those images. So you might see an image that you think, oh, that's a great image to start me off. Click on that and then it's really tiny. And I haven't found a way like you can in Google where you can search for image size. But I do use Pinterest an awful lot, and that brings me on to my other point, which is how to find general inspiration. And Pinterest is a great place. If you start pinning lots of things on boards, Pinterest kind kind of remembers what you likes, and a lot of the time if I'm thinking, well, what's my next project going to be, I'll just go onto Pinterest and it will have loads of pins of really interesting, great 3D artwork on there for me to have a look at. Another great place for finding inspiration is ArtStation, because the quality of those pieces are absolutely phenomenal. I do slightly prefer Pinterest for quickly looking and gathering ideas, but ArtStation is fantastic if you want really quality, really excellent images from brilliant artists. And it's worth noting for anybody who wants to sell their models, ArtStation are now offering that service. So you can upload your models and you can sell them on ArtStation. So are there any other places that you can look for images? Well, as I'm often saying, you need to get off your computer and out into the world, because museums are fantastic places for reference images. If we take this model, for example, it's really great to be able to look closely at different individual elements. So here I'm looking at the chest muscle and how that links in with the shoulder, but I can turn it around and really think, okay, so that's what it looks like from the side, that's what it looks like from this angle, and so on. It's surprising how often you really can't get enough from a 2D image, but when you see a 3D image, it all just suddenly syncs together and you can really work out how things work. That's why I've always wanted one of these, especially for sculpting. It's just fantastic. Because it's quite often I'm thinking, well, how on earth does that muscle link into there and there? And you've got to spend ages trying to find a specific reference image for that location of the body. It's quite tough. So if you're into your character sculpting, then this is a must really. But you don't always have to be on the internet as well if you want 2D images. You can get artist reference books as well. Now they can cost a fair bit of money new, but you can go to secondhand bookshops and find all sorts of treasures in there. And that's where it can be really good to go across to your local library, if you're lucky enough to have one of course, and check out any anatomy books they have there. And you can take your sketchpad along and start sketching away with those books as a reference. So in terms of how to use reference images, I have talked about Pinterest and it's nice to have a board, but I don't think it displays them particularly well. I like to use PureRef. It's quite a nice program. You can just click on any image, sort of drag it in, and it loads it into the program really well. And it will sort of stay above whatever program you're using, which is quite clever. It can be a little bit awkward that as well at times, but it is very useful. I've heard a lot of people just downloading images and then just running them as a slideshow on their second monitor, and that's a great idea as well. Because that's sometimes a problem I have. I'll use PureRef, but I'll have it on my other screen, and I'll look at just one area of PureRef rather than the whole lot. But if I had them on a slideshow, that might be better. And also it might stop you from focusing too much on one reference image whilst it's circling around. So that's a bit about where to find them, how to use them, and generally a bit about finding inspiration. But what's your challenge? Well, your challenge, your task is to find or tell me of any particular reference sites that you know of, and then we can have a great list underneath this particular video. So make sure you look at the comments to find some good reference sites and post your own if you have any. In other news, the competition deadline is next Monday, so that's the 26th at midnight. The theme is fantasy, and you can kind of interpret that any way you like. Get some inspiration from Pinterest, just type in fantasy and see what it comes up with. You can join the competition on the Discord server and you can chat to me and other like-minded people like myself. And you don't have to join in the competition, you can just sort of show off your artwork and chat about things. You can also ask for help on there, and you can tell us about yourself because I'm really interested. That's the bit I love about this whole YouTube channel experience. Lastly, I'm sure you're aware that the Blender conference has just finished in Amsterdam, but what you may not be aware is that they're posting all those videos up online on their Blender YouTube channel. I saw a very interesting one the other day, which was I used Blender at Marvel and it changed my life. The really interesting bit I found was when he was talking about other software and how Blender's kind of looked down upon, and paid for software has this kind of higher opinion. So it's well worth looking at that. So do post any links or thoughts that you may have in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, because it's enabled me to get things like this, and do get across to the Discord server and tell me a bit about yourself. Thanks for watching.